beautiful people, and welcome back to the Empower Her Business Podcast Soul Spa series, where our intention is to bring you food for your soul. This is your space to pause, to breathe, and to come back to yourself. Here, we navigate through the nuances and internal challenges of building a great business, bringing insight, clarity, and tapping into our inner guidance. I'm your host, Linette Cottrell, founder of Empower Her Bookkeeping and Advisory, where I guide women founders from overwhelm and avoidance to confidence, clarity, and what I call wealth capacity. And today we're continuing this beautiful and necessary conversation around women, money, emotional safety, and financial leadership. In our last episode, we talked about the human circuit that keeps so many brilliant women financially stuck. Fear creates avoidance. Avoidance creates intimidation. Intimidation creates more fear, and the cycle repeats. So today I want to talk about how we begin to interrupt that cycle. Because I do not believe women need more pressure around money. I believe we need more capacity. And when I say wealth capacity, I'm not only talking about your ability to make more money. I'm talking about your ability to safely hold more. More responsibility, more visibility, more financial truth, more leadership, more support, and more expansion. Because sometimes the reason we keep avoiding our numbers, that quantity of dollars coming in and out of our business, is not because we don't want a successful business. It's because success itself is asking us to become someone who can hold more. And holding more requires capacity. It requires emotional capacity, nervous system capacity, decision-making capacity, financial capacity, and often support capacity. Because here's something I want to say clearly. You were never meant to build, grow, lead, manage, understand, and carry everything alone. Let me say that again a little more slowly. You were never meant to build, to grow, to lead, to manage, to understand, and to carry everything alone. And I think that matters because many of us as women founders are silently carrying too much. We're carrying the vision, the clients, the marketing, the operations, the household, the emotional labor, the income pressure, the invisible worry, the question of whether everything is really working. And then on top of that, we're supposed to sit down and calmly look at our business finances. Of course, that can feel overwhelming. Of course, the body may say, not today. Of course, avoidance can begin to feel like relief. But avoidance only gives temporary relief. What gives real relief is support, truth, and therapy. Good, dependable information also gives real relief. Being held in the places where you have been trying to survive alone gives great relief. I often say that every human being should have a therapist because none of us move through life without experiencing something that shapes how we see ourselves, how we trust, how we respond, and how we protect ourselves. No one survives life without experiencing some form of trauma. And I'll go a little further and say this. Every businesswoman needs some form of support system around her. It should include a therapist. It should include a business coach or, at the minimum, an accountability partner. It should include a trusted financial professional. And she must have a radical self-love practice that keeps her grounded while she's building. Because you cannot build a healthy business while abandoning the person who is building it, you. You cannot out-strategize what your nervous system does not yet feel safe enough to hold. You cannot simply force yourself into the next level if there are deeper patterns underneath the surface quietly pulling you back into what feels familiar. I meet so many women who say they want their revenue to be a certain level. They want to bring in, let's say, $10,000 a month, but they have only ever brought in $3,000 to $4,000 a month, and they cannot understand why they seem to be stuck at that lower level. And sometimes the reason has nothing to do with their ability to generate revenue. They're brilliant. Their work is valuable. Their offers are needed. Their vision is real, but there are deeper things at play. Personal trauma, money mindset, a money blueprint they inherited or absorbed somewhere along the way. Old stories about what they are allowed to have. Old fears about what happens when they become visible. Old patterns around responsibility, safety, receiving, or being supported. And all of those things can quietly interact to keep a woman at a financial level that feels familiar, even if it's not what she consciously desires. So yes, I see messy books or avoided financial. I understand that we are not just looking at disorganization. Sometimes we're looking at the symptom of a deeper issue. And that deeper issue could be money trauma, money mindset, personal trauma, fear, shame, a lack of support, a nervous system that has learned to associate money with danger, with judgment, with conflict, scarcity, or overwhelm. And this is why I approach financial clarity with compassion, because when I'm working with women in business, yes, I help them structure their financial systems. And yes, I help them understand their numbers, and I help them see what their business is actually doing. But I also care about what's happening beneath the surface. I care about what they believe about money, what they believe about themselves, what they believe they are allowed to receive, and what they believe will happen if they are honest about where things are. What they believe it means if they need help. Because the right information can give a woman the power to move differently. She can begin to see what has truly been holding her back and identify the healing support or modality that would help her move forward, because all things are connected. You see, as much as we try to compartmentalize our lives when we're building a business, especially as a solopreneur or founder carrying so much alone, we have to tend to the whole person. Your business growth is connected to your emotional capacity. Your financial leadership is connected to your self-trust. Your ability to receive is connected to your sense of safety. Your ability to make decisions is connected to the support you have around you. So if you've been avoiding your finances, I don't want you to hear this episode as another reason to shame yourself. I want you to hear it as an invitation. An invitation to stop pretending that you should already know everything. An invitation to stop carrying the fear alone. An invitation to meet the truth with more compassion than criticism. Because financial clarity does not have to begin with a dramatic overhaul. It can begin with one small financial truth. And one small truth might be, I do not actually know how much I keep each month. Or I'm generating revenue, but I'm not sure if I'm profitable. Or I'm paying everyone else before I pay myself. It could also be, I need help understanding what my business is trying to tell me. Or I've been avoiding this because I'm afraid of what I will find. And I want you to hear this. A financial truth is not an accusation. It's an invitation back into your power. Or maybe even to claim that power for the first time, because once you can name what is true, you can begin to lead. You can ask for support. You can make a decision. You can adjust the offer. You can look into your expenses. You can change your pricing. You can create a better plan. You can stop guessing. And so much financial anxiety lives in guessing. We guess whether we can afford something, whether the business is healthy, whether the money will be there. We guess whether we're doing okay, whether we should invest, whether we should wait. We guess whether things are better or worse than they actually are. But your peace of mind cannot be built on guessing. And your next level cannot be built on guessing. And furthermore, your wealth capacity cannot be built on, you got it, guessing. It has to be built on the right relationship. And that's your relationship with money, your relationship with numbers, your relationship with your business model, and your relationship with truth. And like any relationship, it gets stronger through consistent connection. Not perfection, connection. So maybe this week, rebuilding wealth capacity or building wealth capacity looks like opening your bank account without judgment, going through one report. It may look like asking your bookkeeper, your accountant, CPA, or tax professional one question. It may look like scheduling time with someone who can help you understand what's going on in your business. It may look like gathering your income and your expenses together on a spreadsheet, maybe just the last month. Or reaching out to a couple of financial professionals to get a quote for their services. But always choose the person who feels supportive, respectful, and clear. Maybe it looks like saying, I'm ready to stop hiding from this part of my business. And that is powerful. That is leadership. That is a woman coming into herself. Because financial leadership is not about becoming cold, rigid, or obsessed with money. It's about becoming grounded. It's about having enough clarity to make wise decisions and letting your business support your life, not consume it. It's about creating room for sustainability and building something that can hold you, not just something you constantly have to hold. And this is why I continue to talk about compassionate accounting, because the way we enter financial matters makes a difference. If the doorway is shame, many women will avoid it. If the doorway is pressure, most of us would brace against it. And if that doorway is intimidation, we will completely shut down. But if that doorway is compassion, safety, and support, then we can begin to open. And I want to say this clearly. You are allowed to work with a financial professional who honors your knowledge, your journey, and how you show up in your business. Your money professional, whether it's a bookkeeper, accountant, CPA, or tax preparer, should be willing to answer your questions without making you feel small, intimidated, or ashamed about where you are starting. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to need explanations, and you are allowed to say, I do not understand this yet. You're allowed to learn and be financially confident one step at a time. And if your financials are a mess right now, I want to gently encourage you to seek help sooner rather than later. Not because you're bad, not because you failed, and not because you should panic. Simply because the longer you delay, the more expensive, the more stressful, and the more time consuming it can become to straighten things out. So support now is an act of care for your future self. It's an act of leadership, an act of wealth capacity. And the right support, you can begin to ask all the questions you need. You can begin to learn and to lead your business financially. And when women lead financially, everything changes. Your business changes, your household changes, your community changes, and your legacy changes. I know you've heard me say before that women, when we build wealth, 80 to 90% of us give back to our communities and to causes that we care about. That number for men is 30 to 40%. So if you want to make an impact on the world, help women build wealth. This is about power. It's about ownership. It's about women no longer being strangers to the financial story of what they're building. So today, I want to leave you with a simple question. What is one financial truth you're ready to meet with compassion? Not judgment, panic, or shame, compassion, because the truth you're willing to meet can become the doorway to the next level of your leadership. And I add another question to that. What is one step you're willing to take to get your finances on track? Maybe it's reaching out to a professional. Maybe it's getting a quote. Maybe it's talking to 2 or 3 people and choosing one who feels supportive. Maybe it's pulling your income and your expenses into a spreadsheet, opening one report, or telling the truth to yourself for the first time in a long time. But whatever that step is, let it be small enough that your nervous system can stay with it. Because we're not doing financial clarity through force anymore. We are doing it through safety, support, truth, and compassion. And I want us to stop pretending that we have it all together when we don't. Because sometimes that pretending is the very thing that keeps us from seeking the real help we need. Other people see us on the outside. They see us bringing in revenue. They have no idea of the struggle we have on the back end. And I want you to know you deserve help. You deserve clarity, support, And you deserve to understand the business that you're building. You deserve to feel safe enough to lead. So let's take a breath here. Let your body know, I do not have to figure it all out alone. And let's repeat that again. I do not have to figure it all out alone. If today's experience resonated, I'm so glad you're here. I invite you to trust what's stirring inside you. We will continue this walk together. Until then, take care of yourself. And I'll talk to you soon on the next episode of The Soul Spa. Be well.